Hi, I'm Dr. Hunter, and today we are going to be talking about readers. Why do you need readers to read things as you age? So if you're a human being watching this video, then the slow need for readers, the development over time of a worsening of your vision, it's an inevitability. There's this inexorable march towards a loss of near vision. But why does it happen? Well, we have to go back to the beginning and how the eye works. Your eye is like a camera that needs focus. And focus specifically matters with distance. You need less focusing power to look at something far away than you need to look at something up close. So if we establish that distance matters, then how does your eye handle this problem? Because it has to change in power. Matter of fact, if you've ever looked on a camera and looked at something up close, and then you move your iPhone or Android camera off into the distance, you can see momentary blurriness and then it pops into focus. And there's actual moving lenses that are doing that for you. Well, your eye has the same thing. Your eye has a natural lens inside it that has the ability to autofocus. Through a mechanism that is unbelievably impressive and complicated, your eye can tell exactly how far away something is and then send a signal to your brain, which then sends a signal back to your eye to say the lens needs to focus this much in order to see this clearly. And you need more focusing power as you get closer. You need twice the amount of focusing power to look at something 12 inches from your face as you do to look at something 24 inches from your face. Well, how does it accomplish that? This is an M&M, and the reason I'm drawing that is because an M&M is about the same size and shape of the natural lens inside your eye. It's kind of this oblate, squished sphere, and so if we look at it from the side, a lens looks a bit like this. Now, more specifically, that's what a lens looks like when it's focused in the distance. The flatter it is, the farther away it sees, the less power and autofocusing power it has to add to the picture. If we're looking at something at near, that lens gets much more round and compact. And as it does that, it increases its focusing power and we're able to see things up close. Now, what does the lens need to do this? It needs flexibility. Flexibility is the key component here, and the reason that matters is because we lose flexibility of our lens as we get older. The lens grows as we grow. More specifically, it lays down new rings the way a tree lays down new rings. You know, there's a young sapling with hardly any rings and you can bend it around with your hands if you want. They have to put ropes to hold it up so it doesn't fall over. But you go to a 150-year-old oak tree and it's more solid than a Buick is because it's laid down those rings over time and they become more compact and more sturdy. Well, that same thing happens to the lens inside your eye. As a matter of fact, the best your lens will ever be is right around your 8th birthday. If we were to draw a loss of autofocus over time for your lens, what happens is it starts off the best it'll ever be when you're 8 years old, gets worse and worse, and there's this precipitous drop-off between this 8-year period here. And then, well, unfortunately, it keeps getting worse until you get to your 70th birthday. But it's that magical or unmagical 8 years where you lose the most power. You lose the focusing power twice as fast. Your lens is laying down these new rings, and finally it has become stiff and stuck in this position, out in the distance. And it can't do this anymore and round up and see things up close. And that's why everybody who is in their 40s, and maybe if you're very, very lucky, early 50s, you either need to start lifting up your glasses to read things, or you need to get a pair of bifocals or buy a pair of readers for the first time. It's because you've been struck by, I was tempted to say a smooth criminal, but it's presbyopia. And presby, the etymology there means old. But there's no reason for that to feel bad because they had much stricter diagnoses back then. They didn't have political correctness yet. Really, the truth is, it starts when you're a kid and it finally catches up to us somewhere around our 5th decade of life right here. So if you have that issue, you're not abnormal. Matter of fact, it's just to be human, is to slowly develop presbyopia. One last thing to mention is readers specifically. All this time we've been talking about adding power to see things up close. You need more power to see things up close. The naming designation for how much power readers have, it's not an accident. There's actual real numbers behind it. And so readers, which typically go from plus 100 or 1 diopter all the way up to plus 400. It's just how much power you want to add. Even more interesting, as you double the power, each time you double it, you're going to hold things twice as close because now you have twice as much power. Thank you for listening.